This is not a story anyone has fully told, because nobody who was in the room has told it completely. What is known is this: in the final weeks of November 1991, the four members of Queen were together at Garden Lodge for the last time. Brian May, Roger Taylor, John Deacon, and Freddie Mercury, who had been largely confined to the house since the summer, who had not been on a stage in 5 years, who weighed less than any of them wanted to think about. The four of them in the same room. For the last time. What passed between them in those final visits? What was said? What was not said? What Freddie Mercury asked of the three men who had built something with him over 20 years belongs to the category of things that are known from the edges. From what each of them has mentioned, briefly, in interviews they did not want to give. From what they have not said, which is louder than what they have. And from what happened afterward, which tells you everything about what must have been asked. Three men. One request. Three different answers. Garden Lodge was a house in Logan Place, Kensington. Freddie Mercury had lived there since 1980. It was the most private place in his life, the house where the cats were, where the art was, where the garden was, where the version of Freddie Mercury that was not for public consumption actually lived. In the last months of 1991, it was also the house where he was dying. Peter Freestone managed the household. Mary Austin visited every day. The inner circle came and went. And the band came. They came separately, and sometimes together. Brian May has spoken about the visits in the careful language of someone describing something that still has weight. Roger Taylor has been more quiet. John Deacon has said almost nothing. What the visits were like, what it was to sit in a room with Freddie Mercury in November 1991 and talk about anything, and then to leave the house and stand on the Kensington street afterward, is the kind of experience that the people who had it have not been able to fully put into language. Some things are too large for the vocabulary available. What Freddie Mercury could still do in those final weeks was talk. The AIDS had taken the physical capacity, the weight, the strength, the voice that had once filled stadiums from one end to the other, but the specific sharpness of him, the intelligence and the humor, and the specific authority that had always been the center of Queen, even when the other three were at their best, that was still there. Peter Freestone has said he was still completely himself in terms of his mind. Brian May has said something similar in various forms. He was still Freddie. Still interested. Still engaged. Still the person who had opinions about everything and who expressed those opinions with the specific directness that had made him both impossible and irreplaceable across 20 years. And in those final visits, according to the accounts that exist at the edges, he talked about Queen. Not about the illness. Not about what was coming. About the band. About what the band had been. About what the band could still be. About what the band could still be. This is the part that none of them has said directly, but that every account points toward. Freddie Mercury, in the weeks before he died, was thinking about Queen. Not in the past tense. Not as something finished. He had been, by every account, the member of the band most resistant to the idea that Queen was over in 1991, when the Innuendo album was being made, when Freddie was recording his vocals from a chair because he could not stand for long. When the band knew, and he knew, and everyone in the studio knew what the timeline was, he had said, "I'll do it. Give me whatever you've written, and I'll record it." He had recorded it. He had done the work. He had refused to let the band stop because he had not stopped. And in the room at Garden Lodge, in November 1991, with the end close enough that everyone could feel it, he said what he had been saying in the studio. Don't stop. Don't stop. The words are not recorded. No one has produced a direct quote, but the shape of what was asked is visible in every account of those final visits, in what Brian May has said about Freddie's refusal to accept that the band was finished, in what Roger Taylor has described about Freddie's insistence on continuing to make music as long as he was physically capable. In what the innuendo sessions themselves document about a person who had decided that the work was the way through, and that stopping was the thing he would not do. Don't stop. Don't let them take this from us. Don't let this be the end of Queen. Keep going. Make music. Go back into the studio. Stand on the stages. Don't let my absence make the band absent. In the room at Garden Lodge, with the cats and the art and the garden outside, and the three men who had been his bandmates for 20 years sitting with him, Freddie Mercury asked them to continue. He asked it the way he asked everything, directly. Without drama. With the specific certainty of someone who had decided what they wanted. Don't stop. There were three answers. They did not come on the same day. They came over the years and decades that followed, in the form of what each man did with his life after November 24, 1991. Brian May's answer was yes. He kept going. He has never stopped. Interviews, performances, tours, recordings, campaigns, documentaries, the specific and relentless continuation of someone who took the instructions seriously. Roger Taylor's answer was also yes. He has been the other constant on the stage, in the studio, still willing to be Queen in whatever form Queen could take without Freddie Mercury. And John Deacon's answer was no. Not angrily. Not dramatically. With the specific quiet of someone who had decided, privately and completely, that what Queen had been was finished when Freddie finished. He played the tribute concert in April 1992. He played two brief charity events in 1993 and 1997. And then he stopped. He has not spoken publicly since the late 1990s. He has not been on a stage. He has not been in a studio. He retired completely from the music that had been his adult life. John Deacon said no. John Deacon's answer is the most honest response to an impossible request. Freddie Mercury asked three men to continue without him. He asked them to be Queen without the person who was, in a specific and irreducible way, the reason Queen was what it was. This is not a request that can be fully honored. It is a request that can only be approximated, carried forward in a form that resembles what was asked, but is also, in ways that matter, something different. Brian May and Roger Taylor approximated it. They have been doing it for 30 years. And John Deacon looked at the approximation and understood, with the specific and quiet clarity of someone who played bass in the band that made Bohemian Rhapsody, and who knows what that was. And what it is not, he understood that he could not do it. He could not stand on a stage and be part of something called Queen that did not have Freddie Mercury in it. He had said yes to Freddie in the room, and then he had gone home, and he had said no to everything after. He had said no to everything after. This is the specific irony at the center of the story. Freddie Mercury asked the band to continue. He asked this because he loved the band, because the band was the work of his life, and he did not want the work to end when he ended, because he believed, as artists believe, with the specific conviction of someone who has made something real, that what they had made together was larger than any of them and could survive the loss of any of them. He believed this, and he was right. The music survived. The catalog survived. The song survived. What did not survive is what he had actually asked for. The four of them together, making new things. He had asked for the band. The band was four people. Three said yes. One said no. And the yes of three and the no of one produced something that was close to what was asked and also permanently different from it. He had asked for Queen. He got something that was called Queen. It is not the same thing. John Deacon knew this. That is why he said no. Brian May has been carrying Freddie Mercury for 30 years. Not symbolically. Literally. In the way that someone carries a request that cannot be fully honored, the way that someone carries the weight of a yes said in a room where they could not say no, and then spends the next 3 decades trying to make the yes mean what it was supposed to mean. He has spoken about Freddie more than any other member of the band, more often, more carefully, with the specific frequency of someone who is still, every time they speak, trying to do justice to something. He inducted Queen into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He accepted the Brit Award. He was at the tribute concert. He was on every subsequent Queen tour. He has never, in 30 years, suggested that what Queen became after 1991 is the same as what it was. He has never said Freddie has been replaced. He has always said, we carry him with us. This is the specific language of someone who took the request seriously and who understands that taking it seriously means acknowledging. Every time that the person who made the request is not there to see it honored. The last time all four of them were in the same room, Freddie Mercury was in a bed. The cats were somewhere in the house. Mary Austin was close. Peter Freestone was managing the household with the specific efficiency of someone who is managing the unmanageable. And the three men who had been on every stage with Freddie Mercury since 1971 sat with him. They talked. What they talked about has not been fully reported. What fragments exist suggest it was ordinary in the way that final conversations are ordinary, not dramatic, not the performed intensity of a deathbed scene, but the specific ordinary quality of people who have known each other for 20 years, running out of things to say and saying them anyway. And somewhere in those conversations, Freddie Mercury said what he needed to say. Don't stop. Keep going. Don't let them bury Queen with me. The request made. The room holding it. Three men sitting with it. And then leaving the house. And standing on the street. And carrying it home. And carrying it home. This is the thing about a request made in a room like that. It follows you. It is in the car on the way home. It is in the silence of the next morning. It is in every decision you make afterward about what to do with the music and the name and the catalog and the stages. Brian May carried it one way. Roger Taylor carried it one way. John Deacon carried it a different way. None of them could put it down. The request was made. They said yes, in the room. Because you do not say no to a person who is dying and who is asking you to keep living. And then they went home and they discovered what saying yes actually required. For Brian and Roger, it required continuing. For John, it required stopping. Both of them were honoring the same person. Both of them were trying to do justice to the same request. Both of them were right. Both of them were wrong. The request was impossible. That is what made it the request that it was. On April 20th, 1992, almost 5 months after Freddie Mercury died, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon took the stage at Wembley Stadium for the tribute concert. It was the last time all three of them were on a stage together. John Deacon played. He was present. He played every note. He stood on the stage with the band and gave the concert what it needed. And then, in the years that followed, he gradually withdrew. Two charity events, 1993 and 1997, and then nothing. The Wembley stage in April 1992 was the last public performance of John Deacon's life. He walked onto that stage as one of three surviving members of Queen, carrying what had been asked of him in the room at Garden Lodge, and he played. He fulfilled the request for one last night. And then he went home, and he stayed there. He has been there ever since. The music is still playing. His name is on it. He is not. The request cost each of them something different. It cost Brian May his grief. In a specific sense, the grief of someone who cannot stop long enough to fully grieve, because the stopping is the thing that was asked not to do. He has spoken about Freddie in hundreds of interviews across 30 years. He has never, in any of them, seemed finished with the loss. It is still present. Still arriving. Still the thing that comes up when the microphone is in front of him and the question is asked. The request to continue is also a request to carry the loss forward indefinitely. Without resolution. Brian May has been doing this for 30 years. Roger Taylor has been doing this more quietly. John Deacon chose the alternative to stop, to grieve privately, to put down the public weight of the band, and to keep what was private. Both choices were made in response to the same room. The same request. The same man in the bed with the cats in the house, and the three of them sitting with it. The same man in the bed with the cats in the house, and the three of them sitting with it. Freddie Mercury asked three things. He asked them to keep the music alive. He asked them not to let Queen become a tombstone. He asked them to remember that what they had made was bigger than any of them. Brian May heard this as, keep going, take the band forward, play the stages, give audiences the music. John Deacon heard this as, what we made is complete. It is finished. To add to it. Without Freddie is not to honor it, but to dilute it. Both readings are faithful to the same request. Both men loved the same person. Both men were trying to honor the same thing. The distance between what Freddie asked and what was possible is not anyone's failure. It is simply the distance between what a person wants for the thing they love and what the world allows. He asked for Queen. He got the music. He asked for the four of them. He got three. He asked for continuation. He got it. He also got the grief of continuation, which was not something he asked for, and which he did not have to carry. The three men who said yes have been carrying it ever since. Garden Lodge. Logan Place, Kensington, November 1991. The cats. The art. The garden. Outside. Three men, sitting with a fourth. Brian May. Roger Taylor. John Deacon. And Freddie Mercury, who had decided what he wanted to say. Don't stop. Keep going. Don't let this be where Queen ends. He said it. They heard it. They said yes. In the room, because you do not say no. And then they left. And they carried it home. And Brian May said yes for 30 years. And Roger Taylor said yes for 30 years. And John Deacon said yes for one night in April 1992 at Wembley, and then went home and stayed. Three answers to the same request. None of them wrong. None of them complete. Freddie Mercury asked for Queen. He got what three men could carry. He did not know, in the room, that one of them would put it down. He could not have known. He was not there to see it. He had asked. They had answered. The music played on. Just not the way he had imagined. Just not with all of them. Just not quite.